Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Annie, this is Stanley, and we're here to talk about books. So today's video is going to be about picking my books for the month of June. And I've decided that the theme for June is that I'm going to pick all of the books that my brother has given me over the last few years that I haven't gotten around to reading yet. So my brother is one of the best people I know. He's almost as amazing as Stanley, so that goes to show just how amazing he is. And he keeps a list throughout the year of any books that he comes across that he thinks I might like. And then he buys them for my birthday in November and for Christmas. So I always have a few books on the shelf that were given to me by my brother. And I decided that for June, my TBR is going to be picking all of the books that he has given me that I haven't read yet and finally getting around to reading them. But before we do that, we have another thing to do, because the stacks of books that have been collecting in the spare room to be ejected from the flat, shall we say, have got a bit out of control. So we're going to do an unhaul, and I'm going to take all of the books that I no longer want to the local station free book exchange so that other people in the town where I live can pick them up for free and hopefully enjoy them. So that's what I'm going to do now. Well, after lugging all those books around, I am definitely ready for some tea. I'm glad it's the big teapot because I am pretty thirsty. So let's see what the tea dice have in store for us today. Oh, that was close. 12 and 5 is 17. So there's 12 draws in that. So 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. The middle one, which is green, apple, pepper, and orange. That feels to me like a mix that I have created from probably samples from my tea subscription that wouldn't fit in the drawers on their own. Anyway, so good old past me has, as ever, boiled the kettle. So let's see about making this. Not often a fan of peppery tea, but I've added some fruit notes with the orange and the apple. So hopefully it will turn out okay. There we go. Oh, lovely, lovely tea. I was looking forward to this as I was coming back up the hill from the station exchange. So there we go. Green, apple, pepper, and orange. Weird, but good. So now that's all out of the way, let's get to the books. If you've been watching my videos so far, you'll know that I'm taking part in the year-long Magical Readathon challenge organised by G over on Book Roast, which I will link to in the description box. And she and her partner Logan have created this amazing fantasy map, and you pick a direction each month and it will give you a prompt depending on which way you choose to go. And for June, my prompt is to read a book with a fantasy creature in it. But I didn't have one of those in the pile of unread books that have been given to me by my brother. So I had a chat with him, and he very kindly agreed to check his list that he's been compiling of books to potentially give me later in the year and buy me a new one based on that prompt. But we're not necessarily getting off to a great start for my June reading, because when the book that he picked arrived in the post, I have to admit I wasn't massively enthused, because he's picked Uprooted by Naomi Novik, which I know is a very popular YA fantasy. And I do know some things about this book, and I ought to, it turns out, to know a lot more, but we'll get onto that in a minute. I know that it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I'm not that much of a fan of fairy tale retellings. I know it has a teenage female protagonist who enters into a romance with a centuries-old magical being, and have to admit, not my favourite kind of romance, always find that a bit problematic. So, yeah, and I had a thought that I had read some Naomi Novik before, so I went back and checked my reviews catalogue, and it turns out that I did read a couple of her Temeraire series, which I think is set in the Napoleonic Wars and has dragons. And I think I liked the first one and then tailed off with the second one and then didn't carry on with the series. But it also actually turns out that I have read this before. If you'd asked me before I checked, if I had read it, I would have said absolutely, categorically no, never read it. And I apparently read this in 2020, so it's not actually that long ago. So you'd think I would remember, but no, my brain is unreliable. So I am going to give it a go because it will fit the prompt. It was given to me by my brother. I'm reading all the books from him that I haven't read yet. So that's the first one. We'll see how it goes. And then I'll check my review from 2020 to see whether I actually liked it before. Also, don't tell my brother, but I don't think there's actually any fantasy creatures in this book, so I'm not sure it's actually going to fulfill the prompt anyway. I do know that the main male character is referred to as the dragon, but I also know he's not actually a dragon. So there may be other fantasy creatures in there, but we'll find out. I do have a backup because I'm going to listen to the audiobook of The Phoenix Keeper by S.A. McLean, and I know that definitely does have fantasy creatures in it. So the prompt is safe, but we'll see. So next up is one that I haven't had long because my brother gave it to me this past Christmas, and that is Unlikable Female Characters by Anna Bogutskaya. And I'm actually really looking forward to this. The reason I haven't picked it up is probably because it's non-fiction. And even though I do enjoy a lot of non-fiction, I just don't tend to think to read them. And they never seem to get to the top of my reading pile. So this is a good opportunity to get to this. It says, how bitches, train wrecks, shrews, and crazy women have taken over pop culture and liberated women from having to be nice. So I'm looking forward to that one. I think it sounds really fun and really interesting. There's a funny story with the next one because every year there are 5 of us who gather at Christmas. So there's my parents, my brother, my husband Dave, and me. And we have a rule which says that each person has to buy each other person one present. And that means that everybody gets 4 presents and it's all very equal. And yeah, and it seems to work out. But I have to admit, it went a bit awry this time around because I tend to do all of the present purchasing just because I'm a control freak and I like buying stuff for other people. And I've just taken over that role for our household. And I got a bit confused this time around and got it into my head that because I had to buy 2 presents for my brother and 2 presents for each of my parents, that I also had to buy 2 presents for Dave because I forgot that he wouldn't be buying one for himself. So I should only buy him one from me. And then he, on the flip side of that, because he'd got it so firmly into his head that I was completely in charge of and responsible for all of the presents buying at Christmas, actually didn't buy me anything. So when we got to opening the presents and divvying them up on Christmas Day, he had one more than everybody else, and I had one fewer, which wasn't great. But my brother, being the amazing person he is, and of a Stanley kind of attitude of wanting everybody to be happy and have a good time, had a look at the presents that he was getting for Dave, and he gave one of them to me. So that worked out, and Dave had one fewer, and I had one more, and everybody ended up with 4, and it was great. And that book turned out to be The Dark Portal by Robin Jarvis. which I believe is a kid's book, but I certainly don't object to reading kids' books. It's about the Deptford mice who live a cosy life in London, and then talks about something lurking in the dark sewers beneath the city, bloodthirsty rats. Sounds quite exciting. It's also very handy because I am on top of the Magical Readathon also doing the Reddit Fantasy Bingo Challenge this year, which is a 25 square bingo card with prompts for science fiction, fantasy, and horror novels. And one of the squares is to read something that was published in the 1980s, which I did not already have on my shelves until I was given this one, because this book was published in 1989, so it just about fits, and that's very, very helpful because that might have been tricky to fulfill otherwise. So looking forward to getting to that. So the next one I have had since November last year because my brother gave it to me for my birthday in 2024, and it's called P.S. Burn This Letter Please by Craig Olson. And it's a series of correspondence, I believe, between drag queens in 1950s New York. And my brother knows that I'm a massive fan of Drag Race, and I've been to a few drag shows, and I like stuff to do with drag queens. So he bought this for me. I'm a bit concerned about this one. I think it might be a bit depressing, maybe a bit sad, a bit tragic, because I'm not sure that drag queens maybe had the best time in 1950s New York in terms of how they were seen and how people responded to them. But I'm sure it'll be very interesting. Again, non-fiction, don't tend to put it to the top of my reading pile, so good motivation to read this. The next one I think I've had for probably a couple of years. I definitely remember I got it for my birthday from my brother, maybe in 2023, maybe in 2022. And that is The Wall by Marlon Haushofer. I believe this is sci-fi. I think it might be surreal, definitely a bit weird, something odd going on. Woman takes a holiday in the Austrian mountains. Something about a transparent wall behind which there seems to be no life, and she's trapped alone in the wilderness. So I think this is going to be a bit of an odd one. It's not very long, so it shouldn't take me that long to get through it. Kind of interested, but it's just never been, I've never really been in the mood for it, so I haven't got round to it. And the last one for the pile is my shame book, my book of shame, because I had a look and it's a hardback and it was published in 2021. So I think that my brother gave it to me at Christmas 2021. So I think I've had it for 3.5 years and not got round to it yet. And that is Index, A History of Thee by Dennis Duncan. And I have to admit, when he gave it to me, I didn't want to read it. Ever since then, I haven't wanted to read it, and I still don't want to read it. But here it is. It's on the pile. I'm going to read it. And to be fair to my brother, I'm sure there were very good reasons why he thought I would like this book. And also, I do remember the Christmas he gave it to me, Dave actually snaffled it off my pile of presents while we were at my parents' house for Christmas and read it in like 2 or 3 days and absolutely loved it and has been raving about it ever since. So I don't know why I don't want to read it. Even with that ringing endorsement and enthusiastic recommendation from Dave, I still don't want to read this. But it's here, it's in the pile, I'm going to read it, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, I'll love it too, but we'll have to wait and see. So, those are the 6 books that I have on my list for June. I should be able to get through them all in June, although I will have to stop reading June books a few days early because I'm going on a week-long reading retreat from the 27th of June through to the 4th of July. And I have a whole separate TBR pile for that, and I will be doing a different video all about that trip. So June is going to be slightly truncated, but none of these books are massive, so I think it should be fine. So there you go. Books for June, given to me by my brother, finally getting them off the TBR, and we'll see how it goes. So I hope you're just as interested as I am to find out whether I like these books or not, and I will let you know when I have finished them. Bye for now.